Today's video is about a couple topics, but mostly it's going to be doing with Agatha all along. I messed up my first initial intro. I'm just going to be redoing it. So this video will be still long and way more edited for you guys. And I hope you like it. Enjoy.
And like because I could watch her like
fact of Disney Marvel's White Boy Summer possibly get to a surefire box office hit was with a staggering $438 million opening weekend for a rated R film. This week, Deadpool and Wolverine passed $1.3 billion at the box office.
Don't give me hope.
We're bringing back Agatha.
Oh my God, what the hell am I doing? This whole thing is a disaster.
It's been described to me that Agatha is the gayest Marvel project yet. The gayest Marvel project. The gayest Marvel project.
So basically at this point, he goes on to just pretty much roast the entire beginning of that whole entire edit. It's just gay, 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 gay. And honestly, just looking outside the point of what they're trying to say in these interviews, I know Birdman wanted proof of this, but it's kind of like in his face. So Nerdrotic starts to talk about these issues. They actually have a showrunner. Agatha, as far as I know, the first episode was terrible. Second episode was even worse, and it took so long for them to get into it. This whole detective thing, they tried to She-Hulk it, and it just worked out terribly. So we're going to be listening to Nerdrotic and his review about essentially another copy and paste kind of boring aspect of this movie.
explain it to my face.
I have to admit, Disney made an interesting choice following up Lucasfilm's The Acolyte, a show about a coven of lesbian witches, with Disney Marvel's Agatha, a show about a coven of lesbian witches.
That's a lot.
So let's talk about the spin-off show that was greenlit off a song from another spin-off show that was a prequel to another movie, Agatha All Along. Now, before we get started, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that I think it's an interesting choice by Disney to follow up the gayest Disney Star Wars show with the gayest Disney Marvel show, but that's what it is. And I'm sure glad I went through all those promotional.
Mind you, it has really nothing to do whether it's for gay people or not gay people, but that's not really what we're talking about. What we're talking about is like how they're going about promoting this stuff. I know Birdman got me one of his comics asking if I can prove such like the hateful behavior, yada, yada, yada. So I took up the challenge, but I also said that I was busy doing something. This is what I had my eye on, and I don't think I'm going to waste my time trying to pander just to one person alone. From what I'm seeing right now is a lot of unnecessary crap that Disney is just putting out here, and it's just still bad. Like the whole Agatha, being under what's-her-face's Scarlet Witch's spell. When she gets out of her spell, she's just butt naked in the streets, and like I don't know what kind of approach they're going to go with. Like, it took 40 something minutes for first episode that you're seeing on the screen right now take off. And from my understanding, it's just terrible, like worse than the whole court treatment with She-Hulk. And then the episode 2, it's just like going over her son, who's apparently real but wasn't real, but somehow in this universe he exists, but he's in the comic books, and it just didn't make any sense at all.
It's a woman.
I don't know. Sounds more titillating.
She also runs into Aubrey Plaza, who's playing an FBI agent in the spell, and a mystery kid who's obviously Wiccan from the Young Avengers, an aged-up version of Scarlet Witch's son, Billy.
I think he's gay.
It appears that Aubrey Plaza's character and mystery kid, who we're just going to call Wiccan to save time, know that Agatha's in a spell, which she eventually unravels when she confirms that the body that they found in the woods was indeed Wanda Maximoff, which confirms that Wanda Maximoff died at the end of Doctor Strange Mom, at least for now, and all copies of the Darkhold have been destroyed, at least for now. And if you didn't watch Doctor Strange Mom and have no idea what's going on, tough shit. It turns out Agatha was under the Scarlet Witch's spell for 3 years, which is interesting because the MCU has been under the spell of the Message for 3 years. As Agatha awakens, she reverses through all her characters from WandaVision and then ends up naked in the street being ogled by a teenage girl.
Whoa, 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 hey, 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 hey.
Then Catherine Hahn delivers a line that describes this show perfectly.
This is where hope goes to die.
This is followed by a witchy fight between Agatha and Aubrey Plaza's character Rio Vidal, which I had to look up on IMDb because they don't mention it. The fight ends when Agatha reminds Aubrey Plaza that she's not allowed to kill her. Rio, oh screw it, I'm just going to call her Aubrey Plaza, promises to return to finish her off that night, which is convenient because it allows her time along with Wiccan in the next episode to collect her coven of blandly diverse female characters.
Talk about that, people of color. Look at that poster right there. I mean, that's diversity.
It's, yeah, and I also think it's the point of it is not that, actually.
You sure about that?
And this allows us a little time to get to know Wiccan, who is the mystery kid. Now, Agatha does ask him his name and where he's from, and that gets muted or his mouth gets sealed up and she never bothers to bring it up. Now, canonically, he is gay in the comic books and he's very gay in this show. And if you weren't sure, he gets a call from Boy F.
He worries.
Aw.
Now, I know Disney Marvel is playing down to the lowest common denominator of your average Disney Marvel stan on X Twitter, but this might be a bit much. Why in the hell didn't you just put gay?
And again, this is perfectly fine. Like, it does not matter about if these characters are gay. The issue is writing, right? I don't care who, what, when. And as far as them as people, as a person, it does not matter. What we're talking about is just the writing. The writing is already like terrible. They're off to a terrible start. And I pulled up some charts I'm going to be showing, I don't know, maybe in the middle or towards the end of the video about why that is. Now, I can only pull up as much data as I can from 2023 because I don't think 2024 is released yet for the entire year. But the stat tracker is showing a steady decline in these type of shows being made, and somehow like for example for Netflix, their subscription rate is continuing to rise, but then it's not, so it's not really making any sense at all. Someone's hiding evidence. Yeah, as far as like the cancellations and stuff, I'll show you what I mean later, but it does not track what happened after 2020 at all.
Right, we're not only following one of the most unlikable characters in the history of Disney Marvel, we're following her without her powers, which would have made it only slightly less annoying and boring. And this leads us to another interesting creative decision from Disney Marvel. Following up The Acolyte, the gayest Disney Star Wars show featuring a coven of lesbian witches singing in a circle, with Agatha, the gayest Disney Marvel show featuring a coven of lesbian witches singing in a circle.
Down, down, down the road, down the witch's road.
Now, thankfully, the witches that returned to kill Agatha while being able to move quite quickly upstairs or duplicate, conveniently decided to walk very slowly up to the house so they can finish their song. And our blandly diverse and non-ageist coven walk off on the witches' road into future episodes, which thankfully isn't getting a season 2.
The second season, who would you love?
This looks directly like going down the yellow brick road for Wicked Witch of the West or whatever. That whole scene, it's like a mixture of She-Hulk, Wicked Witch of the West, and like many other movies that just it's so bad. What am I looking at? The storyline for this, for the first 2 episodes, does not make any sense at all, and I appreciate that there are like different types of characters, but they seem to be like just empty vessels of what they could have been. They're just bland, bleak, like they don't really hold any value, but it's fun to look at until you find out there's no not really character growth for them. It's just they're bland.
The same media that says Star Wars The Acolyte broke records for Disney Plus's biggest 2024 launch, and also said that Echo was the best Marvel show in years. No word yet on the budget of Agatha, but whatever it costs, it was a colossal waste of time and money. But the one thing it does achieve, it has zero testosterone. And I can hear the stands now. This show wasn't made for you, and you're right. Why in the hell would Marvel want to make a show for a guy like me? By the time I was done watching it, I felt like redecorating my house while watching reruns of Glee, and I felt the masculinity draining out of my body. The only question left is, who in the hell is this show for? My wife's a freaking hair colorist and she doesn't want to watch it. The answer is simple. The show is made for wine moms with accessory kids raised by nannies, and it reflects the Los Angeles they live in today. As with The Acolyte, which was Kathleen Kennedy's Star Wars in its final form, Agatha is the MCU in one of its final forms. There, I said it, and I promise you, I am more than ready to retire the MCU when Marvel is.
The only thing that I would disagree with is that he says that it's made for wine moms, and it's not made for anybody. It's not really targeting anybody. It's not made for anybody. It's just like throwing it, like if I throw a random video out there, which I have, and it like gets one view, that's literally what they're doing on like a multi-million-dollar level. It's not made for anybody. It looks great. Characters seems to be okay. Nothing wrong with the characters. It just they're like empty shells. They're just empty. There's nothing there. They all hate each other when they first meet up. It's just people that don't like her. She needs them though. What was the scene with her being nude? It's not made for anybody. Watch the second clip with the Birdman, and yeah, we'll see what he has to say, because I like his taste on doing another movie entirely, and no one's talking about it. But in his comment section, he was asking, well, I said, it's not going well because that's what happens when Hollywood keeps attacking its audience. Well, it used to be an audience. I don't know how you don't get this yet, Bird. It's like you're trying to ignore what is happening. That's what I said. And here's a response from a couple of people under my comment, which, how did they attack you, King Kirby? And then, did you watch the video blindfolded with your ears plugged? So I had watched the video twice, and I told both of these people that I watched the video twice. In a sense, what King Kirby is essentially saying is that they're like actually attacking me. This makes no sense at all. And I find this laughable. This is why I don't seem to debate people in the comment section of YouTube anymore, is because they ask you dumb questions like this, and they're like, well, can you prove that you're being attacked? And it's like, have you not been watching anything Marvel has put out for like the last, 5 years? I kind of laughed at this one. This one takes the cake. This one made me laugh, and how easy it is to prove this over. He says, the thing you must demonstrate, what you're assuming is actually happening. Even if you can prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that the creator of the art hates you and people like you, you would still be required to prove art itself is hateful towards you or anyone else. This makes absolutely zero sense in saying that what someone is saying or what a group is saying is not being hateful. Now I have to prove it. Like, I have to literally prove it to you when evidence sits in front of you. Let's continue with this comment. For example, leftists and sometimes liberals have all but given up on Harry Potter due to their quarrel with J.K. Rowling and her take on trans people and their issues. I think this is fair, and I would think it's fair for you to give up on someone in Hollywood film because you don't like the creators of the film and whatever brand of policies they have in reality. But like you, these leftists and liberals, so he's including me with leftists and liberals with, so again, it's laughable in his little example, have to prove that Harry Potter is hateful. No, that has nothing to do with what was said externally from outside of Harry Potter. Nothing at all. is hateful. A few have tried claiming the goblins are Jewish. That is irrelevant when you're talking to me. That you're saying to prove that it's hateful. That's what I intend to do, is just prove that it's hateful. And feebly trying to suggest that Jake Rowling believes that slavery is okay because of the existence of house elves. Yeah, I think there was like forms of slavery in Lord of the Rings, and if you can associate that with anything, so that's just a throwaway line. So really, I don't know what he's talking about with J.K. Like, how's that being helpful towards me as a person when J.K. never said anything to bash trans and gay people? If anything, she was trying to include them, and then ultimately it turned on her. That's not even what I'm talking about. So that's a dumb statement. Uh, unaware that their art contained difficult and uncomfortable subject matters that the artist does not have to answer for them at all. I have no idea what you're talking about here. The statement of I would have to be required to prove that art itself is hateful towards you or anyone else. What do you mean by art? Because art is such a vague, art in itself is such a vague topic to talk about. I mean, modern art is just, white canvas and red and blue dots, and then what you get from that is a literal dickhead. Like, that is entirely subjective, that kind of art. Or are you talking about art as in Hollywood kind of art? Are you talking about actors? Are you talking about the movie? Art is definitely not a script being written. That would be a story, a book. They call it a script. Okay, so like them, you need to prove that this is happening. I don't care about your conspiracy theories or what you think is happening. That is probably an understatement that you're saying when you're just assuming that, just like you assume that Critical Drinker is an incel, or you assume that Jeremy from CinemaSins is just stupid and he doesn't know how to do his job. It's just like sometimes you don't get the joke, but that's just on you, Birdman. You just don't get the joke sometimes. I'm only interested in what you can demonstrate to be true. Show me the hateful characters and stories. I don't care about the artists. Okay, so let's read that last line again. So, like them, you need to prove that this is happening. I don't care about your conspiracy theories or what you think is happening. I am only interested in what you can demonstrate to be true. Show me the hateful characters and stories. Characters and stories. I don't care about the artists. Okay, let's go back to your first sentence. The first thing you must demonstrate is that what you're assuming is actually happening, even if you can prove beyond a shadow of a doubt, creator of the arts hates you and people like you. You would still be required to prove that art itself is hateful towards you or anyone else. So you have two contradictions in your sentence, and then that whole entire middle piece is just throwaway randomness, because this doesn't make any sense at all. So you want me to talk about the art, but you don't want me to talk about the art. Then again, that's not what this video is about. This video is just only about Agatha all along. I said that I would get to him a little later because I'm not really going to waste my time with this whole race debate of what I'm focused on is bad story writing. And I think you should be focused on bad story writing as well, Birdman. I saw the review. We're going to be looking at that one. It's for a different movie entirely. Finally, Birdman is doing his job again. That doesn't exclude other video critics, but other video critics talk about other topics. Birdman is a video critiquer for movies and for other people's work. So I think it'd be wise to just not fall for essentially the bait being put out here. Is that even? Yeah, let's just actually focus on what we came here to do and not randomness of art, which is it's irrelevant when it comes to story writing. I mean, the art of story writing, like, it's so vague, like I was saying. But
viewers who have reviewed Agatha, I am here to criticize you. You have not been harsh enough on this show.
Agreed.
Even with a 69% on Rotten Tomatoes.
God damn, 69.
which should tell you something because I have not seen a Marvel Disney Plus show that has gone that low on Rotten Tomatoes, I don't think.
By the gods themselves, how did She-Hulk not do worse than that?
That should tell you something about this show and to avoid it, but it is not harsh enough. I watched Agatha out of morbid curiosity because I was wondering, who is this show for?
I think that's the first mistake we all make.
What might be the worst Marvel production I have seen to date.
I don't know. I think the Marvels, Captain Marvel, and She-Hulk were pretty bad. If that's worse than this, it's bad.
And I don't understand. Like, it's like a race to get to the worst Marvel project possible out here. It's like
We all feel the exact same.
you watch the Marvels and it's the worst thing ever. You watch She-Hulk and it's the worst thing ever. You watch Agatha and you're questioning, is this the worst Marvel project that I've ever watched? Because that's what I was thinking to myself as I was watching it.
Can you imagine being like a really hardcore fan of the comics and then going to watch the movies and then these TV shows come out and it's just terrible and you're like, who is this made for? It wasn't made for me, one of the fans, but who exactly is it made for?
have my notes here just to make sure that we go over everything. And
God damn.
have my notes here.
She's got a goddamn book, bro. She's got a goddamn book.
Break it down. And once again, my fellow critics, please, please open up. You need to start being harsher to these shows. We need to really stop accepting less. But a bit more on that and talking about the criticism behind this show later, because suffice to say, I was expecting not a good show, maybe a boring show, and this show is boring to a very large degree. That doesn't even begin to get into the awfulness of this show. Now, up to this point, I think that the most universally considered worst Disney Plus Marvel show, or just MCU content in general, was She-Hulk. Is this show worse than She-Hulk? What I'll say is, at multiple times when watching this show, I was considering that this might even be worse than She-Hulk. That thought entered my mind. But you might be wondering, what is so bad about Agatha? What is so terrible about it? Well, let's get into it. I have my notes right here.
Bro. She's got
ready.
a goddamn
So,
book.
Agatha begins, and it's got like 40 to 45 minute episodes. It begins with Agatha Harkness as a detective, and there's been a murder. And it's this very dour, awful detective sequence where Agatha, or Agnes as she's called to in the sequence, is just the most awful, bitter person anywhere, just snapping at people and just having no good traits whatsoever. And the beginning is supposed to simulate a detective show. And as you watch it, you realize that it's not reality. It's just another WandaVision reality that the Scarlet Witch cast a spell, and that this is Agatha, aka Agnes, at this point, living out that reality. But this is the first mistake that the show makes, because first of all, this TV show that Agatha, or Agnes, is supposedly playing out is the most miserable thing I've ever seen. It's supposed to simulate a detective show once again, but it's like no one in their right mind would ever watch such a detective show, because you've got the most unlikable, despicable protagonist that's just mean to everyone, and every emotion and reaction she has is just bitterness and resentment and anger.
Kind of like what we've been saying for like the longest time about this.
It's like, if you're wanting to simulate a detective show, then you should make it seem like an actual show somebody might be watching. It also makes no sense.
Kind of like what we've been saying for like the longest time about this.
Because it's like everyone in Westview is acting this out, but all of them are canonically and in this show freed from Wanda's spell. That didn't make any sense. But this brings it to another problem, is that this detective sequence goes on for so long. It takes up almost the first episode, and this creates two problems. Number one, if you watch this show because you saw the advertising as a bunch of witches going down the witches road, you're gonna turn it off within 5 minutes, because you're gonna be like, this is not the show that I signed up for. What is this completely different show that's really, really awful? You're going to tune out. However, if you're like me and you watch WandaVision and you understand pretty quickly what they're going for here, then you're still going to be frustrated, because this sequence just carries out for so long, so unnecessarily.
Imagine watching the show like that and still having no idea what it's even about.
And there's like the little hints to who Agatha really is, but even in retrospective, having watched 2 episodes, it's like, why did it take up so much time? You should have had maybe a 5-minute opening sequence dedicated to it, not the first 40 minutes where it's mostly just this detective work and Agnes and Agatha, same person, going around being this miserable character, meeting other characters where we just did not need that much of a lead up to it. It's so baffling that it took so long to get there. So it's miserable to watch and very, very boring because it's just taking up so much more time than it needs.
Ladies and gentlemen, round of applause. If you'd like to go watch the rest of that video, that's going to be JesterBell, which I found on YouTube because I knew there was way more better critiques out there as far as Birdman goes, who are actually critiquing a film and not focusing on anyways. JesterBell's a video that you want to go watch. Link in the description. She did a phenomenal job. Please go give that video a watch. Okay, I said I would go watch the Birdman video. All right, that's on me. Let's go watch the Birdman's video.
Refused to take the win. I mean, Deadpool and Wolverine turned out to be the biggest smash hit of the summer movie season, and while I don't think it's going to be enough to change the trajectory of the MCU, it could at least be seen as the first step in the right direction. What Marvel really need to do now is follow it up with a high-profile, crowd-pleasing project, something to solidify the success of Deadpool and prove that it was more than just a lucky fluke for a franchise that's sliding slowly into irrelevancy. So naturally, they decided to follow it up with Agatha All Along. And if that name's not familiar to you, you might remember it more as Agatha House of Harkness, or Agatha Coven of Chaos, or Agatha Darkhold Diaries.
I hate so much about the things that you choose to be.
And yeah, the constant name changes were definitely an intentional move as part of a quirky marketing campaign, and totally not a panicking studio trying different ways to polish a turd. It's a show that's been in development for so long that I genuinely started to forget what it was even based on, and I suspect the people behind the trailer realized this too, which is why about 50% of it is just a recap of WandaVision.
I think in general, the thing we can grasp from this is that it's not targeted towards anybody. The story sucks. Political, racial views aside, factually looking at the project with logic, reasoning, math, and science, we've covered all that, right? This show sucks. Not watching the Birdman video. See ya.
Oh, he must not know who the fuck I am. Bitch, I would throw you off this fucking cliff. Bring that ass here, boy. Oh, Hercule looking, ass chin having. Bring that ass right back here, boy. Oh, generic Piccolo cloak wearing, baby widow's peak having. Oh, Cyclops looking ass, boy. I'm Trunks to the motherfucking briefs.